Hello and welcome to the Speak Your Mind podcast. We are your hosts, Daisy and Martha, and today we will be joined by two special guests, Mia and Elise.
Hello. Welcome everybody. How are we feeling today?
Feeling good.
A big welcome to our guests on the first ever episode of Speak Your Mind, Mia and Elise. If you guys would like to introduce yourself.
What's up, my guys? What's up?
So before we started filming, we asked our guests to think of one deeply philosophical question that they wanted to speak about today. Our first question was proposed by Martha. If you'd like to tell us your question.
Oh, okay. Well, my
into it.
question is actually a theory.
Okay.
So, yes. So it's the egg theory, which I've been seeing a lot about at the minute. I don't know if you've seen about it, but the origin of the egg theory comes from a short story published by someone called Andy Weir, and it was called The Egg. And I can't remember when it was published, but it is essentially like, I can't remember the whole story. You can get like a PDF file of it online, but it's like this guy gets into a car crash, dies, then speaks to God. But anyways, So the egg theory is essentially the idea of reincarnation, but
It is a really difficult one to explain.
it's really difficult to explain.
I have
yeah,
seen
so
the
it's
video
like,
of that.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about what came first, chicken or the egg. This is a lot more in depth.
to be fair, no,
That is deeply
no,
philosophical.
get to the end of it and it's kind of like that question, that's
Yeah.
kind of where it comes from. But, so yeah, reincarnation, right, on a timeline, you'd think. So you reincarnate at a different time to when you were alive. So you
It's like the next
reincarnate the next generation, like future generation or past generation. But what if you reincarnate at the same time that the past is still there? Like, so you reincarnate whilst the generation that is existing,
Whilst you were still alive.
So like I died
Oh.
and then I reincarnated, but you were all still here. So it's like the idea of, what if you are reincarnating as everyone else? What if all of you are a reincarnation of myself and there is only one conscious being, which is like the idea of, like solipsism, where no one can prove their consciousness to you. Like, if I were to ask you, prove your consciousness to me, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can only prove yourself that you're conscious. You can't prove it to anyone else.
True, yeah.
So therefore, like, you could all be a reincarnation of myself. And what if every time you reincarnate, you come a little bit more consciously advanced, that you become God? I'm just saying. So that brings you to the question, what came first, God or you? Because
Technically, God would be you.
what if
God is a reincarnation of you.
God is a reincarnation of you, that you just like kept on getting so advanced that you just became God?
Yeah, see, I tried to get behind that theory, but then I just kept thinking about it. I just don't understand how all of us could be, like, that was like, if you're me.
We're from the same person.
But, like, you're not me, bitch. You're not me, bitch.
But
And-
you
and
can't
also,
prove
like,
that.
We are all reincarnations
I
of
said
God.
as well, like when Martha was explaining it to me earlier beforehand, like before we started filming,
Yeah.
why would you reincarnate? Like, why would you be someone that you dislike or someone that like
Yeah, that's what I
kills
was
loads of
thinking.
people? Like
Yeah.
on the actual short story, it says like about, so I was Hitler, and like
Yeah,
why
that's
would
true.
you?
Yeah, because like if you're you, because then that takes away the whole point of self and like I don't know, like being yourself, individuality. Because that's the reason. Because when I saw that theory, I was like, okay, and then I was like, nah, I'm not. I could not. Because then I started thinking about like racism and like slavery, and I was like, I could not have. I know for a fact that I would have not been that. Do you know what I mean?
But then you wouldn't.
But
know.
you wouldn't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. But like,
Like,
I'm just
you
like,
don't-
I don't want to believe that like I could have been a really horrible person like Hitler or like someone like that. Do you know what I
But
mean?
like, that's you now. In
Yeah.
previous timelines,
They're separate people.
they're separate people with different, like
morals,
different morals, different. It's a different time.
So we're all
You know what I mean?
Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're not
We
all
all
Andrew
come from the
Tate.
same being as Andrew Tate.
I'm Andrew Tate. None of you are Andrew Tate.
You. That's what I'm saying. Like, no one can prove that you actually exist. You only know yourself. So what if everyone has their own universe. What if I'm living in my own universe? And I could say to you, like, what if you're living in your own universe, but you don't have one because you're a projection of my imagination?
Yeah, but that kind of ties into what you were gonna say about your question, like about kind of like what happens after you die, and like just like why were we here? What was our purpose of being here? Like, why are we put on this earth? Like, who put us on this earth? Why are we put on... There's so many different theories, so that's the thing. Because even with that egg theory, that's just a theory, and like, someone came up with that theory. But everyone's got theories. It's like religion, like, they're all... Like, a lot of religions are, like
to help people cope with that.
Yeah, to help people cope with because I believe that a lot of religion came from people not understanding why we were here, because you can't, when you think about it too much, you do go into like a crisis, because you're like, oh my god, like I can't understand. But I don't think our brains are even,
so then you just tell yourself, oh, it was just it was God, he did everything.
You give yourself like stability, I guess, with like whatever theory you come up with.
And that's like, there is so many theories purely because like nobody's ever gonna know. That's what baffles me. It's like nobody's ever gonna know
exactly
why we're here.
And I think people are just always searching for a meaning, and it's like, don't laugh. Just laughing at the way I say always.
I was just thinking, you say always with...
I love it though.
It's cute. Always.
I've just always said it like that.
You just always say it like that.
Well, I literally can't say it the other way, like always. Wait, always.
I've started saying it like that.
Always.
Because I spent so much
time
on it.
You say it kind of like almond.
Always.
Like
always.
Almond.
Really
Almond.
Almond.
Always. But anyways, I was saying, you're always searching for a meaning. And I just don't think you have to. I'm just kind of like
I think you
content with the fact that like
we're here.
You just have to accept it and move on.
Yeah, like I was saying about like optimistic nihilism, right? So it's like, you know, bringing in the philosophical terms now. So like there is, like, you recognise there is no purpose to life. Like there isn't, is it? Like there's literally no.
It was just like
we're not here to serve a purpose. Like we've created our own purposes through times, but. So if you were to take like a nihilistic approach, you'd see that, and then you'd just be depressed. You'd be like, there's no point in life, so I'm not gonna try. Optimistic nihilism, though, on the other hand, is like, I recognise that there's no point in life, so I'm just gonna make my own purpose. Like
it's like
that gives you more. It gives you more like freedom if you know that there's no point in life, because you can just
do whatever you want.
You can just do what you want. Like
not sorry to bring up the Matrix, because I know that's like the most stereotypical thing to talk about when you talk about like shit like that. But like, you know how like when they found out that they were like in the Matrix, they wanted to get out. Like that's what it would be like if we found out one day like the real reason we were here. We'd want to like go against it. We couldn't do anything, even if we knew. And some fucking Canaries came down to us and was like, "Look, guys, we're in the Matrix. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, what are you actually gonna do realistically?
Why don't you just accept it and carry on living the way we're living?
Like you basically just gotta be delusional, like that, because we don't know shit and we're never gonna know shit. And it goes back to what I've been talking about recently of you just don't know anything. Everything is a theory. Everything we know is
this
a
is
theory.
like what we spoke about in the car that one time. Yeah.
Because nothing's actually like true, and every single bit of proof that you back something with is another theory. Proof is a theory, like, so not everything is a theory, like
people always back up
things can be proven.
Yeah, like, but even then, like, people back stuff up with science, but
science is
theory. Science,
it's like the atom.
It's like the atom. We thought it looked like a plum pudding, and now it's all this like swirly.
And people now think that like they've got everything right. So like obviously. All scientific theories, from like back in the day,
they thought they were right.
They thought they were right then, and we think we're right now. And like everyone's like, no, we're like definitely right, because like look how advanced we are as a society. But like, no, we could be wrong.
Yeah, in 100 years, we're gonna look back and be like, how stupid
that was so dumb.
Have a photo of the atom, because we're not focused on the atom anymore. Like we're not focused on what that is, because we think that it's where it is. So they're focused on like cancer and like curing all these other things and like all these other scientific things. But the atom's actually wrong.
Yeah,
it could actually be like.
But it's just a theory. But like everything's a theory. Everything we're taught is a theory, and that's why my science teacher never liked me, because I'd always be like, "Bitch, you're wrong.
This isn't real.
Like, you can't tell me that's right, because it's not." And when she'd mark me wrong in my science paper, I'd be like, "How do you know that's not true?
Prove it.
What if I was right? Yeah, prove it. You can't. You can prove it with your fake proof, but it's not real proof, because everything's a theory. So nothing's actually. The only things that you can like be like, okay, yeah, that's real, is like if you pointed at a bone and we're like, that's a bone. From your body, but is it?
It could be a hologram.
But I guess like it is your body.
We live in a hologram.
It's like there's so many different theories though. There's so many different theories, and like of like where we go, like why we're here. Like we will never know. We will never ever know until we die, I guess. Like, we will never actually know why we're here. Even if you die and get reincarnated, still you're never gonna fucking know what if we're trapped in this loop of being.
But there are people that like remember their past lives. Like I've seen like the videos of like kids being like, yeah, and then I married this old lady and like we got in a plane together and the mum's like, what the hell are you talking about?
I can't remember the exact story, but my mum was like a princess in her past life and she knows this somehow, but I can't remember and I wish I asked her now before we filmed this. But I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, people say that all the time. Or like, I watched this video once about someone who was obsessed with planes, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was talking about with the plane thing. I feel like
what about your
one, did you say that?
You have your own.
Do I?
Of how you died.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
But you died before.
Yeah.
Bro, don't, because this was the weirdest thing ever that she has ever done to us.
Yeah. I did die in a plane crash.
Oh.
Tell the story.
Yeah, I need some context to it.
Right, okay, it's going to sound so stupid, but one time I was on a train, as you are, and I went through a tunnel, and when I went through this tunnel, what even happened? I shut my eyes and, like, I just... How do I explain it?
It sounds like you're setting up a joke right now.
And that's literally what you thought.
She was laughing so much. She was hysterically laughing and then started trying to tell us the story. So we all thought it was a really funny story. And then she just goes really serious and was like, and told us the story. And
I
was
saw
like, that's
myself
how I died.
die.
And then like you look like you're about to cry and we were like, what the fuck have you just like done to us?
So you like, close your eyes and saw your death.
And I saw that I just saw that I died in a plane crash. And like...
You weren't scared getting on the plane to when you went to Berlin?
I thought it was a train.
No. I was on a train.
But she saw herself on a plane
I see.
whilst on a train.
Yeah, how are you not terrified? I would never go on a plane again.
Because we researched EasyJet before we went and they've never had a single crash ever, so they love that.
I mean, if you died in a plane crash once, it's very unlikely this is going to happen again. That would be just really unlucky.
Yeah. I'm sure I said plane, not train.
I don't know.
Because I was on the train, but then I saw the plane in my head.
Yeah.
And it was just really weird, and then like, I was just sat in silence like,
no one around you knew what just happened.
Yeah, you know what I think sometimes. So say I'm like, you know when you just get a bit paranoid and you're thinking about all these situations that could happen right now. Like say you're a bit scared, like anywhere. Or like say you're just walking down the street and you're like, oh my god, like someone's gonna snatch me or something. Do you know what I mean? When you're just thinking about stuff like that, I always think in my head, if I've thought it, if I've really detailedly thought about a situation, it's not gonna happen. And then I think I don't need to worry because that would be really weird if it did happen. And if it did happen, that would just be really strange. So like sometimes if I'm... Oh, I actually can't say that on here. So I got to think about a different example.
It's all coping mechanism, really, isn't
it?
Like,
because
we're just trying to cope.
If I've thought about it, if I've thought about a situation happening, it's not going to happen. And if it did, that would be really fucking weird. So it's just probably not going to happen 9 times out of 10. So when I'm feeling scared, I try and think about all the situations I can so none of them will happen. So I think about like as many situations as I could possibly think of so that like there's no chance.
And then if it did happen, you'd be like, you know what?
That's really
that's
weird.
I do that all the time. We had a conversation about this before, didn't we? Like you had your like bag in your backpack or something like ready to take. Didn't you say something like that?
Yeah. So basically, when I was younger, I used to be terrified that my house was going to catch on fire. My sister did as well. So I don't know if it runs in the family or something. Maybe I will die of fire when I'm older. Yeah, but I used to have a bag packed in case there was a fire and it had like socks and tights and all my memorable stuff in it. So if there was a fire, I could just pick up the bag and run.
That's so sad.
And also, I always used to think about the fact that if I ever get burgled while I'm drying my hair, because I used to be terrified when I was drying my hair because my mum's door would be shut and so you couldn't really like see. Like, if anything, I wouldn't be able to hear anyone if they came in the house.
Yeah.
And I always used to think, what would I do if like a burglar came in?
You set up a whole like fight sequence to get them down.
No, get this. Offer them a cup of tea. They're going to be so baffled by the fact that they've come in all like scary and intimidating. They're going to be so baffled when you go, oh, you're right.
You're right, mate.
Come sit downstairs. I'll make you some food. And they're just going to be...
You must be freezing. Bless you for your blanket.
Yeah, they're going to think you're so fucking weird that they're just going to leave.
Yeah,
that's what I thought if I ever got kidnapped to put in the back of a car, I'd just be like, oh, where are we going, guys? This is fun.
Just act like you...
I've always thought about that. Like, if I get kidnapped, I'll just talk to them.
Just stay calm,
I'll just
man.
actually chat to them. I'll be like, you know what, I'm here with you guys now. Like,
yeah, this is where I'm at.
What's going
deal
on?
with it.
No, it's weird though, because when me and Daisy were talking about it, I said because I think I was talking about how I was like scared of fires in my house as well. Like I always, for everything in my head, like probably for any situation you can think of, I've got an escape plan.
Yeah.
Because like I would always think about, because I read once, not even that long ago, that this was at my old house, and I was thinking, and it was about like if you can smell fish in your house, it means there's like a
Carbon monoxide.
carbon monoxide. Like
That does
there's
scare me,
a
the carbon
leak,
monoxide thing.
and you know if you turn it's like an electrical fire. If you turn any lights on, like your house will just like go up in flames.
You can get carbon monoxide
meters,
alarms. A lot of people, when we clean houses, they have them.
Yeah,
My nan and papa got one.
but like I would like obsessively think over who I would save first. But like I'd be in my bedroom and like because you can't turn any lights on if that's the situation because it would just like ignite the fire, you know. And so I would think like, oh, my brother's across the room from me, so I'll go get him. But actually no, I'll go get my parents first. But I've got to like try not to panic them because my dad will wake up and turn the light on. So I've got to be like really, really careful.
Stealthy.
Wake
Go
them
in
up.
there and hold their nose and
Yeah.
cover their mouth. Like, don't say a word. Don't move a muscle.
And then I'd be like, okay, don't freak out. We're gonna go get Ruben, and then I'll go get Evangeline. Make sure they don't turn any lights on. Keep on saying
What
that,
about
and then
your
we'll go
phone?
downstairs and go out.
Like if your phone screen just turned on with that.
But that doesn't
I think
need
it's
an
more about the
No,
wires.
it's like
and stuff.
yeah, like
okay.
wires.
because
and
the
all
way
that.
the light bulb works is like a little tiny little like spark
Yeah.
in the light bulb, so
So
that
the
would
house
set
is
it
just
all off.
below.
Yeah.
If it had like
Crazy.
filled with carbon monoxide
Yeah.
and you didn't know.
So why is that a common thing for like kids to have been scared of fire? Because I used to be really scared of like I had to be on fire too, and I used to in both my houses like because when we moved house too, I had to come up with a new fire escape plan. Like I used to have one, and my plan was always I used to when Izzy's room how she got the ensuite thing, and then where my mum's art area is like it's like I don't know how to explain it. So there's my sister's bedroom's here, and then there's like a thing like my mum's art room, but like there's no other room, so you could like jump out the window, jump onto the art room, jump onto the floor, you couldn't break any
Jump
bones.
onto the
Yeah.
roof.
So that was like my escape plan if the fire was like downstairs.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, what if I got trapped in like Izzy's room at the time? There's no escape. Like you'd have to just literally jump on the car. So I'd always like make sure mum and dad would like park close enough so that someone could
So you
jump
could
onto
jump
the car
out.
out of the fucking window so that
Aw.
you could. I don't know why I was so scared of fire, but I wasn't. I haven't been scared of fire for a long time. I must have stopped now.
I think
I
it's purely
still
just
am.
because, like, in primary school, you'd always be taught about the bad
Yeah,
things
yeah.
and you know,
Yeah.
like how dangerous these things were. Like, always stay away from fire. So I think everyone was just sort of like, oh, if I've got to stay away from fire, I should be scared of fire.
I
Yeah.
actually feel
Yeah.
really mean for doing this one. So, you know when you shout and your mum to come and she just doesn't come and she's just ignoring you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I don't even know why I needed her. I think it was just a stupid reason.
You
I was
shout
like,
fire.
I was like, Mum, there's a fire coming! And she came running up the stairs. She was terrified, and I was like, I just
What do you
needed-
do when she gets up there? You're like, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
she was,
I know
she was like,
fire.
where is
I
it?
put it out, don't worry.
Just needed to come and she got so mad at me. Fair enough, though. Like,
Mum, there's a fire.
but she was ignoring me, so I was like, I need to scare her.
Yeah,
It
literally.
was like, you know how you're saying about burgling too?
Yeah.
My sister used to be terrified of burglars, but to be fair, she had a good reason to. Because when we moved house, both of our next door neighbours, their houses got burgled. And the one that's like next to us, because so we have two next door neighbours, but like one is like opposite the road. Does that
I
make
know
sense?
what
So
you
there's a
mean.
road next. You know how there's a road next to my house? There's like
Yeah.
another. So they're still our next door neighbours, but the ones that were right next to us, like next door, they have the same like ensuite bathroom thing. So they had climbed in from my fire escape route. They had climbed through my fire escape route.
Which is
And
into
came
your
in
sister's
through
room.
the bathroom, but they're like someone was home, and as soon as the burglar like saw that someone was home, they just dipped straight away. But like my sister, that started her like fear of being burgled, and she used to have nightmares, like deep nightmares every single night. She'd always wake up like crying and shit, just about burglars like coming in and taking her, and she'd just always have these dreams like That's why dreams just confuse me, because why do we have like these like so many
Let's move on to your topic now because
Yeah.
we're running out of time, which is dreams. It's perfect.
dreams?
Yeah.
Dreams are just tricky as fuck anyway, because I just don't. Dreams are weird because there's so many different types of dreams. There's like dreams that like can tell the future. Dreams.
Had one.
They do. Go
Yeah.
on, tell us.
Okay, so I'll tell a story real quick. So it's only a quick one, but this is gonna sound like complete bullshit. But I did dream about COVID before it happened.
Really?
Well, not
That's
necessarily
mad.
COVID, like not the name,
Just a
but
pandemic.
so at the time I was so I was having guitar lessons, and like just before it was a thing, and so obviously I'd go to the academy and I'd do lessons in a room with my guitar teacher, and then in the dream there was like a virus spreading around, so like I couldn't go to see him anymore, and so like we would have over the phone lessons, but it was like the other way around. So
Oh, you
I was
told
in
me
the
about this
studio.
before.
Yeah, I was in the studio calling him, and he was at home. But it ended up being the other way round. Like soon after this, like COVID came around, and I had to have
Actually
at-home
happened.
lessons over the phone with him whilst I was at home.
That's really weird.
And
That's crazy.
yeah.
So I mean, dreams are fucking weird. Like dreams just don't make like it's like lucid dreams too. Like I'll tell you about this.
Oh my
I was one
god.
dream. I think I've told all of you
I
this
don't
dream
think I ever
before.
want to.
But so I don't remember the actual dream, but like I just remember this point of the dream because it scared the shit out of me. So I was like just hanging out with my friends in my dream. And like something bad had happened. Like I don't know what happened, but like something bad had happened. So like obviously like I was crying, I was upset, and they were all like trying to comfort me, being like, "Oh, it's okay." And then I turned around and I was like, "Wait, like this is not real." Like I said to them, I was like, I'm dreaming. Like I know I'm dreaming. And then I looked at I don't know what it was. I think it was like a clock or something, and it didn't look like a normal clock or something.
I've seen that. People say
Yeah.
if you look at a clock in your dream, that's when you know that you're in a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a clock or your hands, because you'll
Yeah.
never have 5 fingers.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's probably why I realized it. Because I turned around to them and I was like, I'm not in a. I'm in a dream, like this isn't real. And then they started getting really angry at me, and they were like, if you weren't in a dream, you wouldn't be able to cry right now. Like, you wouldn't be able to like feel emotions if you weren't in a dream. And they were like trying to convince me that I was in a dream. And I was like, no, I'm in a dream. I need to get out. So obviously I started freaking out even more, and they were getting so angry at me. Like they all just got so angry at me, and they were like, trying to tell me that I wasn't dreaming. They were like trying to convince me that I wasn't dreaming. And I just woke up and I was just like crying.
It's actually terrifying because like I know that the scientific thing of it is that it's your conscious, like your unconscious
Trying to keep you asleep.
But I just think like again, if we're going on to the thing of like if God is real, why would God like in terms of like religion and people think that God creates everything, why would God give us dreams?
Yeah, that's so random. Dreams are so random, and that's
especially
such a
horrifying dreams.
Yeah.
Like,
I've had
traumatizing.
It's like you
had a really
it's like-
scary nightmare as a kid where there was like a row of babies in cribs, and there was like it would start, and it's real bad.
No, I had like a baby
There
dream.
was another baby
We're not going to talk about that here.
Oh,
Maybe afterwards?
Yeah.
Talk about it?
I want to hear it. And yeah, there was like massive metal poles, and it was in like a factory, and these babies. And bear in mind, I'm like 6-7 years old, and I had it from like 6 to 11.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was awful. I'd have it like once every 3 weeks. So it was these babies, and they'd be getting moved along on like a conveyor belt, and these metal poles would come down, and I'd see they'd be crying really loud, and I'd see the metal pole, but I didn't see it come down onto the baby, but like I saw the top of it. Like,
I'm just
fall
sorry, that
down.
is so traumatizing.
I know, and I'm like
What
6
the
years
hell?
old, and it only went when you do that thing when I wrote it down on a bit of paper and I burnt it, and then after that
That's
I never had it
really-
again.
Oh, really?
Weird. That's so strange.
That is fucking weird. You know what, Liv, this is not one of my dreams, but Liv told me about this and I thought this is terrifying. I've never had a dream like this before. You know, like the typical movie dream where it's like a white room, and like just completely white, and then like something, like just someone's in the room.
Yeah, like in the Harry Potter scene.
Yeah. She had this,
like
that. So
she
she has the dream, like recurring dream when she was a kid, and it was like she was in a completely white room. Like there was like no floor and no ceiling. It was just like white, and there was this big red ball like rolling towards her. And like she'd just have that dream, but like a massive red ball, and it was like they were like chasing her basically, but just in this white space. Like it wasn't even a room; it was like white space, and she just had that recurring dream. And I just thought that's so fucking weird. Like what does that?
But you've
like,
never
what
thought
is-
of that in your
Exactly, you've
everyday
never
life,
seen
but now
that.
your brain is
That's
creating
what
that
I'm so
image.
strange. Like,
That's
especially
what-
like you're creating your own film. It's from your own mind. Like no
Yeah.
one else is putting it there.
It's never
You come up
happened.
with these things, and it's like I just don't understand how your brain puts together these full length stories that
Elaborate
last for
stories.
hours.
But it's actually only like, it feels like it's 5 minutes.
You know, once this is actually really weird. I've had some crazy dreams, but this was really really weird. One I had never had a dream like this, and basically, so I was just in my room, and like this is a really long dream. I'm not gonna tell you the whole thing because we will be sat here for so long. But basically, like I had gone to this weird like camp thing. It was crazy. There was some next shit going on there. It was weird camp, whatever. It was in like some next to real world too. And then like I managed to escape this like camp, and I was down by, you know, the gym near my house. I was down by there, and if I couldn't look at anyone, because basically if you looked at people, like I don't know what would happen if you looked at them, but like everyone was staring at you the whole time. So like I hid underneath this like little bridge thing, and I could see everyone just staring at me, but like
That
I
sounds
wasn't
like
looking
a really
at them.
good horror film.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was actually a really good horror film. And then I was just trying to act normal, so I went and sat on this table, and I sat with, I think it was Sam actually, and I was just like, don't look at them, like you can't look at these people, whatever. And I don't know, he looked at them, and then I woke up, but I didn't wake up in real life. I woke up, but I was
dream
still
within a
dreaming.
dream.
But I didn't know I was still dreaming, obviously. So I woke up in
Inception.
my room, And I was just like, God, that was a weird dream, you know? Like, just in my dream, I was just like confused, and I started shouting for my mom. And then all of a sudden, these guys bust down the doors, and it was the same people that were in the camp.
You actually think it's real.
Exactly. Yeah. So they bust down the doors, and they're the same people from the camp, and they take me in the car, and they're trying to take me to the camp again. And then I don't know what happened in the car, but I fucking woke up again. But not in real life yet. I was still in the dream. I woke back up in my room. But you know how like this is another thing I'm going to talk about in a second, dream world. But like you know how like it's like your room, but it's not your room. So I woke up in my room again, and this time I was crying because I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I was so scared. And Mum came in my room, and I was like Mum, like all this scary shit's happening. And she started, but like my mum was not my mum, and she was like really scaring me. He's like, it wasn't her. And then I found out that everyone was like basically like robots. Like no one was real in my dream. Like everyone was like fake. Like they weren't themselves. Like someone had basically like taken over my mom. So I was trying to escape, but obviously the staring people came back. So everyone was staring at me again. And like when I say to everyone, I mean there was like crowds of people everywhere. Like you know my street, like there was just everyone everywhere. You know that field opposite my road, like full of people, all just staring at me. And then I woke up for real this time, and I was like,
how would you know?
And I felt like I was there for a week.
Yeah, you
like,
wouldn't.
In my dream, it felt like I was there for like a week, because obviously I kept waking up. Like it happened 3 times. I fell asleep and woke up because I actually fell asleep too. Like I went to sleep, and I remember going to sleep in my dream and waking up. It was literally like I lived there for a good like week, and so much happened like in that week, but it was literally just one dream. And I just remember waking up and I was so fucking confused. And that's what when I talk about dream world. How do we have dream
like
worlds?
your house, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like a dream.
But like,
version
it's like,
or it's like
have you ever been to somewhere in your dream that you've never ever been to before, and you just made it up in your head?
And then have you ever had it where you dream of a place that you've never been to, and then you go past it?
Yeah, and it's like deja vu.
Yeah,
like,
this is what I mean.
So
That's
strange.
really
I had that
weird.
literally the other day.
How do we
I
do
don't know.
that? Like,
I've had that so many times where like it's literally a place I would never have been to, and I'm like, I have had a dream here, and it's so strange.
It's weird.
But I've had that thing like you said with your mum. I've had that with Evangeline so many times. Has she ever told you about how I used to just have nightmares about Evangeline?
No.
I have no idea why, but I just used to have dreams over and over again that Evangeline was evil. She was like evil in them, and like she was like taunting me, and she was like really, really, really terrifying. I remember like one time I woke up from this dream crying, and I've told her about it, but she was like just so evil, and I can't even explain like why. But
so
other than that,
funny because it's Evangeline.
I know, like Evangeline's kind of scary to be fair.
She would be evil.
Yeah, she would be
the evil villain in the film. Like
she would. But the only other repetitive dream I've had other than that was. Like I always have these dreams for some reason that I'm in a situation where I have to drive a car, and I can't drive cars obviously, but
I feel like everyone's had the one where your mum like faints at the steering wheel and you have to get in the car and drive it, and you're like 7 years old.
Oh my god, yes. Well, you have to drive the car in your dream. Yes, I've had that so many times.
Everyone's had that.
Where you have to go and drive the car, but you don't know how to drive the car
because you're like 7 years old.
Drive it.
Yeah, that's what I have, but like all the time. But like I'm just in a car and I can't control it, and I'm swerving everywhere, and it's like not really that scary. I just don't know why I dream that like over and over again.
Yeah. Isn't that even weird that people can have similar dreams? You can have like a very similar dream.
Oh my god, that reminds me. I can't remember what the dream was because it was so long ago. But one time, me and Kate in a history lesson, we just like because we would talk about our dreams a lot, and we just started talking to each other about our dreams. Oh, I can remember the dream, and we realised we both had the exact same dream.
That's what I was going to say. Like, someone told me that they had the same dream.
Yeah, and it's not just like it wasn't similar, like, and it's not just like we just said that we had the same dream. Like I would say something, and then she'd say the next thing that happened, and then I'd say the next thing that happened.
That's weird.
And it was such a weird dream about like this bold man chasing us through town, and we were going charity shopping, and we went to the same charity shops, and we were like I'm pretty sure you were in it actually, and we were like in this like shopping trolley getting pushed around. We had the exact same dream, and then because I was like, and I was gonna say, and there was this bold man, and she goes, oh, and he was chasing you, and I was like, yes,
I would actually
the same thing. It was so strange.
Like people think there's meanings behind dreams, so like, but
maybe you both needed to hear the same thing,
and you both needed had the same.
But like, how would they have the same dream on the same night?
I know, it's so weird. It was genuinely like mind-boggling. Like I was like, that's so strange.
That's fucking weird. That's what I mean. There's so many weird coincidences.
Yeah, literally.
Like, in the
there
world.
must be something going on with them for all of these things to be happening.
Yeah. It's like I'll tell you about my mum. My mum actually kind of. I think that she's got some next weird like.
Your mum's some next psychic.
She actually is. She just can tell like the future and shit like that. Like it's really weird though. Like anyway, I'll tell you this story that she told me. So she was like really young, and basically like, this is when her and my granddad and my nan still lived together. So like her mum and dad, and she like my granddad was downstairs like on the phone, and my Oma was upstairs and was like, oh, like where's your dad, and my mum was like, oh, like he's on the phone, he's gonna get told that granddad's dead, but granddad had not died yet, like the granddad her granddad had not died yet, but she was like, yeah, granddad's gonna die, and she said how he was gonna die, and he hadn't died yet though, and so my Oma like was like, what the fuck? So she was like, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? So she goes downstairs to the dad, and the dad like obviously hadn't been told yet, so like she didn't speak to him yet because he was still on the phone, and he hung up and everything. They still hadn't found out. A good like, I don't know, like 20 minutes later, they got a phone call and said that the granddad had died from the way that Mum had said, and it was so weird. And then after that, like all obviously her brothers and sisters found out, and they all started calling her a witch, and everyone in her secondary school started calling her a witch because she would do these things, like she would predict something that was going to happen. So that's why my mum is like, she's not like she just hates when if anyone like talks, like says to her that she's like, I don't know, like anything like that, because everyone in secondary school would like always taunt her about it and be like, oh, you're a witch, you're a witch, you're a witch, like all this shit, because she could just tell the future, like she would like have dreams and like, and then it would happen, and it's like how she just knew like how her granddad died and he was gonna die, but he wasn't even like dying, like he wasn't even, it was like he just died.
That's a scary thing to have, because if you had like a really bad dream about something, you'd be like, oh my god, this is gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah, but like
if that's happened in the past,
it's just fucking, it's weird. Like my mom has got. I want her to be here now because she could probably tell you guys so many stories right now of like, but she doesn't believe and stuff like that. Like I think it's because she doesn't want to become self-aware or something, because she doesn't believe that that's weird. Like she's just like, oh, it's just coincidence. But there are so many that she's done it so many times, that's not a coincidence anymore. Like, and it's like, have you seen those things like, sorry, I'm just jumping into like loads of conspiracy theories now, but like have you seen those things where like someone, they have this full set of nails and then like another nail pops out of nowhere?
Yeah. And it was like,
I've seen that.
This girl bought like a pair of shoes or something, and like from like a thrift shop.
The Elsa shoes.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
And there was another pair of Princess Elsa shoes.
Yeah.
The weirdest one I saw of that. Sorry.
No, carry on.
Okay, so the weirdest one I saw of that. So someone was like sat in their car, and you know how like where the mirror is at the front, it's like slanted, and then there's like what's it called, dashboard. So like there's no room. Okay, there's no room there. It's a small bit. You know what I mean? You couldn't like. Yeah. You'll understand in a second. Basically, a bird had like shat on the window, but it went through the window.
Oh my god!
Onto the dashboard. But it was like right at the bottom of the dashboard. So even if a bird managed to get in the car, there's no way it could have shat in that corner. If you know what I mean. Yeah, and it literally had just shat through. And people say it's because of an atom slip. Like that is a real thing. Like apparently you can punch.
When you like do this, like hit a wall so many times, your hand will just go through.
Yeah. Like, how is that gonna happen?
But I just don't believe that that's like that. There's a scientific explanation behind that, because what the fuck is that? And that's what people.
You'd see the
That's why people think that like we're in a simulation and shit, because it's like, what is like a glitch? Like what? Yeah. And then I've actually got a story with that. I don't know if I've told you guys this before, probably because it happened to Izzy. But basically, we were in the garage, and Izzy had these 2 pairs of earrings, and they were like just little mini hoops.
About this,
yeah, they're just tiny little hoops, and she only had 2 of them, right? Because they were like her favorite earrings. She loved these earrings, whatever. We were sat in the garage, and she basically earlier in that week she had dropped one down the sink, and like we were trying to scoop it out the sink. I really remember because we were trying to get it out the sink, like because it fell down the drain, and we were like trying to scoop it out, like we were trying to torch, we could see it, but we couldn't get it. So like it was in the sink. Okay, so she only had 1 earring at this point. So we were sat in the garage, and something fell, like it just fell, and it was the fucking earring, another earring, but the earring was still down the drain, and she still had the other earring in her ear, and the same earring that she had in her ear had just fell like out of her ear, but it was still in her ear, and it was just on the floor. And it was fucking crazy. But like we were like, wait, maybe like we were trying to find an explanation, because we were like, nah, that's weird, that's too weird. Like we were like, maybe you bought 2. And she's like, no, like I bought this pair from Claire's, like it was 2 earrings from Claire's. And we went back to the bathroom, looked down the sink, and it was still in the sink, and the other one was still in her ear. So like how did that happen? Like that's fucking weird. Like
no, it's actually crazy.
Because I think it's when
it's like when you feel a piercing ball fall out, and then like you go to touch your piercing and it's still there.
Yeah, but like most people wouldn't believe that if I said that, like and said that story until it happens to you. Because like obviously the nail things, I'm not gonna lie. At first I'd think, oh, they probably just like made a fake nail or something. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But like when that happened, like that I hadn't even like smoked it or anything. Like I was. stone cold sober. Like I swear, like that was fucking. It was weird. It was weird. Even my mum couldn't explain that to us. Like that's weird. No one can explain that. How can you explain that? How did the same earring just drop out of her ear while the earring was still in her ear and just onto the floor?
And it was in the drain.
Simulation vibes.
On that note, we can't explain anything.
Everything's a theory.
Everything's fucking real. We'll never know what's real and what's not real.
You're just gonna have to get used to it.
Exactly. So
be delusional. Stay delusional.
Stay delusional. Yes. Believe whatever the hell you want to believe.
Exactly.
As long as it doesn't hurt anyone else.
As long as it's not harmful. Because
but on a real note, do listen to your science teachers. Like pass your GCSEs.